This is a visual novel that will get you comfortable before driving you to the edge of your seat, creating tension and keeping you guessing at every turn. Today, we're going to take a look at Higurashi no Naku Koro ni, or Higurashi When They Cry, the question arc. The Higurashi series focuses around a group of friends living in a quiet rural village of Hinamizawa. The village initially appears nice and peaceful, but shortly before the town's annual festival, our main character, Keiichi Maebara, is informed of a series of murders and disappearances on the evening of the festival. It isn't just this year though, as these murders are a consecutive occurrence for the past 4 years, coined by the local inhabitants as the Oyashiro curse. First off, let's talk about the production, beginning with its graphics, and yes, I'm talking about what you're seeing on the screen. Higurashi's minimal design is a great example of where you don't need beautiful graphics or elaborate visual effects to convey a compelling experience. The 640 by 480 resolution, followed by the formatting of the text, is designed so that the reader is fully focused on the text and the sprites. Higurashi's base UI for the visual novel purely focuses all attention to the narrative and the sound design. The sound design is excellent, to the point where even silence was effective. The tension was played up so well, and the haunting tracks compared with the cries of the cicadas added to the unnerving and unsettling mood. Despite the older MIDI synth instrumentation, the soundtrack is still effective at conveying tone. My favorite tracks are Gear and Dawn. They're dramatic but lamenting. Both have an essence of emotional resignation, but also sounding firmly resolute. The soundtrack works so well, considering that Higurashi is oriented to be an atmospheric horror rather than a gore fest. However, there is a way to massively increase your Higurashi experience, and that's to install the 07th expansion mod. The 07th expansion mod combines the best parts of Higurashi on PC and the consoles, porting the new sprites, backgrounds, video openings, and even voice acting, creating the definitive experience for Higurashi, going from this to this to The mod allows you to switch between the sprites if you like the original sprites. Personally, I think the original base visual novel is still perfectly fine. It's just that having the 07th mod can only make the visual novel experience better. Higurashi When They Cry consists of 4 story arcs, and I'm going to take you through each of the arcs in this review. The first arc is a phenomenal start to the visual novel, slowly introducing the unsettling feelings within this small rural town. We begin Higurashi with our main character Keiichi as he moves to Hinamizawa and gets accustomed to the local residents. We are shown his daily, everyday life as he spends time with his friends before slowly realizing the frightening past of Hinamizawa. Keiichi's internal thoughts are a notable high point of Higurashi. Throughout the visual novel, we are shown Keiichi's mindset and thought process. He has a persistent attitude and a methodical mindset shown off in the games he plays with the cast, but as his suspicions and paranoia increase, that mindset transforms into a survivalist instinct. It's well written, slowly taking him through the phases of logical reasoning and emotional denial as he loses his sanity. The first arc is a great beginning, as this first episode is meant to get you accustomed to the major plot elements of Higurashi. By the end, it sells you on the gradual buildup that is the mystery of Hinamizawa, where indescribable logic and seemingly supernatural factors happens, and it gets you hooked into the world of Higurashi. Now that the setting has been established, Arc 2 takes the time to expand the in-depth history of the locals of Hinamizawa. Here, we begin to know more about the characters and their relationships with each other. What's surprising is that while the arc details some gruesome, horrific deaths that happen in it, the arc actually becomes a tale of a cruel tragedy. A tragedy set in motion, depicting the domino effect in full action, where once you realize what's happening, it's already too late. These series of misfortune events gradually snowball until the characters reach their breaking point. However, this is an instance where everything could have been easily avoided if it wasn't for Keiichi. I will criticize this volume for Keiichi's dense naivete. There are moments where he should have not have acted the way he did, and while I can call him out for essentially being an idiot, I'm willing to forgive him. This arc is themed around miscommunication and how it paralyzed our characters. As I read this volume, I felt frustrated. But that's because if the characters trusted in each other and talked to each other more about their feelings, this would have all been avoided. However, that didn't happen, and we are left with this impending tragedy as we watch everything get torn apart piece by piece. None of the characters really wanted this to happen. They really didn't, as they cry out in lamenting regret. The third arc is raw and heavy with its content and emotion packed behind it, and yet it is very dependent on your affinity with the characters at this point. This brings up a valid criticism for Higurashi, the slice of life segments. People may dislike having to go through the slice of life bits in order to get to the horror sections. However, contrary to popular belief, Higurashi is a visual novel in which the slice of life moments are critical to the plot. Well, pardon some specific scenes.
なんでさっき駅で会った時野球だって教えてくれなかったんだよ。
The slice of life segments builds emotional connections and fleshes out character dynamics, and those moments build up to a bigger picture. The moment where the cast goes out to have a picnic, important to further establish familiarity with the cast. The day where Keiichi invites the club members to eat desserts, reinforces the idea of a strong community bond. The scene where Satoko and Rika visit Keiichi to cook for him, crucial to better understand their compassionate demeanor. Higurashi is excellent for some of its slice-of-life moments to lift the atmosphere and emphasizes character relationships and dynamics. So when the big turning point happens, it hits hard. The third arc is an elaborate trap designed to depict the focused characters with no possible way out, with suffering and guilt at every turn. I haven't mentioned this, but at the beginning there's an excerpt about the difficulty of the chapter, and I'm like, difficulty in a visual novel? How preposterous. I was wrong. This one is actually true. Good luck trying to make sense of this arc in particular. I thought I was getting close to understanding the big picture, but no, let's just take that and throw it out the window. It's bad enough that this volume has the most shock factor out of all of them, with the worst possible outcome, but follow that up with the seemingly nonsensical supernatural elements, and we have an arc that questions your own sanity. The final arc, Arc 4, is an interesting one. Arc 4 acts as a post-mortem to the big picture mystery of Higurashi, and it drops some major reveals on who we should be keeping an eye on. And yet, it's not conclusive at all. In a strange telling of events, we focus on a character completely outside of the main cast, even more of an outsider than Keiichi originally was in the first arc. But as we warm up to this character, I found myself strangely attached to this new character and his motivations and ordeals, which just goes to show how effective Higurashi is at making the reader care about its characters. This arc becomes a significant turning point for the series, transitioning from a series full of regret and sorrow into a series striving for hope and happiness, which leads me to state that Higurashi, at this point, is unfinished. Higurashi is split into two visual novels, the question arc and the answer arc. This arc ends the question arc section and leaves you, the reader, with a message. By the ending of this arc and this visual novel, Higurashi entrusts you with all the mysteries hidden within Higurashi and gives you the final pieces necessary to solve this tragedy. Higurashi no Naku Koro ni is a visual novel that will take you on a roller coaster of emotions, filling you with heartwarming and joyful moments before dropping you off the deep end with its disturbing and horrifying scenes. While excellent in building up to and selling those moments, its reputation as a horror visual novel is a double-edged sword. People dislike the slice of life segments due to their eagerness to get to the horrific scenes, but even then, the slice of life segments is imperative to the narrative and is meant for you to get attached to these characters. I give Higurashi no Naku Koro ni question arc a 5 out of 5 with a seal of recommendation. And I'm saying this with the knowledge that the full story isn't over yet. The sequel, Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Kai, critically named The Answer Arc, is meant to fully resolve the Higurashi mystery and is fully intended to be read after the question arc. This murder mystery in the summer of 1983 is not over yet, and it begs itself to be solved to reach the happy ending for everyone, and it's up to you to finish it.